What's up, guys? I'm back with another league race. This one is at Hungary. And as you know, if you watched my most recent video, I'm going no assists. And if you also watched the last video, you will know that it did not go very well last week. Um, it it was I was way off the pace in France, and then the weather turned and it started raining, and I was even further off the pace. And it was not a good race. The only people I beat were DNFs, if I remember correctly. So, not the greatest of races, but I will say after another week of practice and another week of just getting used to no assists and remembering to do multiple things at one time, like shift gears and not spin and use ERS and all that, I do think that I'm a little faster this week. And somebody asked me going into the race, are you planning to use no assists? The answer is yes, no assists. And also, how do you feel? And I said, I feel a lot faster than I did last week. And I think part of that is just Hungary. I'm maybe a little more comfortable here than I am at France. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I just feel a little bit better here. But on top of that, I think I got a lot of good practice in and just got a little bit more used to it, a little bit more used to no racing line. And I was feeling pretty decent coming into this race. And by no means did I think I was going to be competitive with the top guys. I mean, I do not have the pace right now to win a race in this league, but I did feel a lot better than I did previously. So you see my best qualifying lap there. We're up to P14. I went on a later lap, did not improve, so I ended up P17 actually, which is not the worst thing in the world. We'll see the qualifying results here in a second, but top guys are low 116s, and I came in at 119.073, which is not very good. But it could be a lot worse, so we're going to make the best of it. I did get a little interesting here with strategy. You see me with a decently slow start. I tried to get a good start, just didn't really do it. But we got a little interesting with strategy here. I'm starting on the mediums, and the goal here is go medium soft. In my preparations for the race, I saw that medium soft worked really well for me. For whatever reason, I was not getting a lot of tire degradation here on this track, and I honestly didn't even think it was going to be remotely difficult to make medium soft work. So that was the plan. And we'll see if I can make it work, but that's just sort of where we are at the start of the race. And that's a little bit different from previous weeks. In Jeddah, I think I went medium soft, if I remember correctly, but I was a little worried about it working. In France, we had rain, so that sort of twisted things up a bit, but here I was feeling pretty good about the medium soft strategy, so we'll see if it works out. Back to the race, you see that I'm up to P13 by about midway through the first lap. And if you've watched any of my videos before, you know this. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, I will just let you know now, probably my biggest asset on the track is consistency. Just not running into cars, staying alive, and just survival by attrition, I guess you would say. I don't have a ton of pace, especially now that I'm going with this no assist thing, so I really have to just stay on the track and be smart. You do see me here get past Juzzy B, who had some internet issues in qualifying, and then you see him reconnect and disconnect a couple times. I think they're on the first lap, but he's completely ghosted, and I got through him pretty easily. So fast forward a little bit here. We're on lap 2. I'm up to P12 after passing Juzzy, and you see a guy spinning. I don't actually know who that was. It went too fast for me to see, but the gist of it is that I'm P12 or P11. And then fast forward, a couple guys have pitted. People I think who probably started on the softs and then went to the hards or the mediums. I don't know. Probably hards for most of them. You see I'm up to P6. It's not a true P6 just because it's largely a pit strategy thing. But I will say that I was somewhat hopeful at this point. I'm thinking, hey, can I get points in this race? Because I've passed quite a few cars that were spinning, and the thinking here for me is, hey, if I'm smart about this, I may be able to get some points. So I'm going to do my absolute best to make that work. You see, Say here, I had a little bit of a lockup. I went a lot deeper than I expected to there, and I almost went into the side of Say. Was lucky enough to catch it, and he was giving me enough room that it wasn't a problem, but that was a really close one. That could have been contact, no question. So that's unfortunate that I was that close, but I'm glad that we could save it and keep it away from each other. You also saw that I let my teammate Hal through. He was much faster, and I didn't want to hold him up on that last turn, on that last corner. So I went ahead and let him through there, which I think was the right call for the team. Little team orders action. And I hope that it can help him later in the race. We will check back in with him later, and we will see. For the meantime, you see a couple laps later here, Bo95 is catching up to me, and he and I are well, historically have been very closely matched. He's a little faster than I am at the moment for reasons that we visited earlier in this video with my pace issues at the moment that I'm working on and trying to fix and get better at. But for the moment, I think Bode's going to be faster than I am. What I do have on my side is the fact that this is a track where it can be very difficult to pass. So if I get good exits at the right times and I'm smart about ERS usage and car placement, I should hopefully be able to protect myself a little bit. That's the hope, at least. We'll see how that works out, but I managed to hold him off for the better part of a lap here. You see me trying to break the toe a little bit on the main straight, and then kind of taking this inside line so that he can't go down the inside, and I keep him behind me. The downside is that he immediately gets DRS, so we're in a position there where with the double DRS where it's really tough to stay ahead of guys, but I was inside there. It wasn't as close to contact as it was with Say a couple laps ago, but I did have to back out just a little bit to avoid hitting him. But I'm hopeful that I can drive along behind him and maybe be in a position where maybe I can get DRS here at the end of this lap. Because again, I think the mediums are still working really well. They're at a good temperature. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I have decent pace, so I'm hopeful that I can just stay within range and see what I can do in the DRS section. And I've also got in the back of my mind here that we've got Ghost coming up behind me. So Ghost is already pitted. I think he went soft to hard, and he is going to be faster than me. He's just faster than I am. So I do think that he and Bode should have a little battle here, and maybe I can gain some time as they sort of scrap a little bit with each other. So it's not necessarily the end of the world here for me if I get past. And I think the longer that I can stay with them and maybe get some DRS and maybe just hold them up a little bit, it can only help me in the race, I think, as long as I'm not sacrificing my own time to get it done. And I guess that's no guarantee. Maybe I am sacrificing my own time, but I'm thinking that if I can just run my race, and again, Hungary is a track where it's so difficult to pass that I think I should just be naturally helped by the flow of the track a little bit. So that's kind of the thinking here. Stay as fast as I can. Hopefully the tires will work out and survive, and that should help me a little bit too, because while I don't have as much pace as pretty much every other car on the grid, except I will say there were a few times, I didn't really show it, but earlier in the race there, before Bode caught up to me, there were definitely a few laps where I was building gaps on guys behind me. So I don't know if that was just a feature of the recent patch that changed some of the handling and tire pressure type stuff, but I do think that there were moments in this race when I had some decent pace. And I managed to keep Ghost behind me for, over a lap at this point, which would not have happened at France. I mean, France, it's a track that's easier to pass on, but also I didn't have as much pace. So I was further off the pace of the top guys, and that was very apparent. So Ghost is at a point here where it's pretty clear that he's going to pass me. I recognize that. I'm not going to fight him. I'm just going to let him go. He's much faster than I am. I try to take a smart line here and avoid making contact, but I did go a little bit too deep, and 562 King catches up very, very, very quickly to me. But fast forward again here, a couple laps, 562 is still behind me. Ghost and Bode have been battling a bit in front of me, and that has slowed both of them down. So they're actually both well within range here. And 562, you can see, is just antsy to get past me. But I really don't have anywhere to go. But it becomes pretty clear pretty quickly that he's going to try to get past as soon as he can. And he does make the pass here. It wasn't that dangerous. I mean, it was pretty smart about it. But it could have been bad if I didn't know that he was passing, but it was pretty clear, so it wasn't really an issue. I do drive along behind these guys for a little bit, and I'm kind of hoping, hey, if I can stay within range of 562 to the end of the lap, maybe I can make this work. But I will say the tires were getting a little old at that point, so it just really just didn't work, and they were out of range very quickly. And fast forward, we were on lap 20 there. We're on lap 22 now. You can see 562 is over 7 seconds in front of me now, or about 7 seconds in front of me now. And Quoth Raven 44 is caught up with me. So my goal of staying with those guys just really just didn't work. And Quoth Raven gets by here pretty easily, and I'm going to pit on this lap. So that was to be expected. He is faster than I am, but there's every possibility that Quoth Raven will spin or something later in the race, because that does happen with him from time to time. He's faster than I am, but I think I'm a little more consistent than he is. So I may catch up to him. We will see. Let's keep an eye on that. You see me here going into the pits. I break in time. No 5-second penalty for speeding. I get the optimal turn in. They put the tires on. We get estimated stop time of 2.2. We get 2.2 on the dot. We hit the clutch. We are out of there. So really good pit stop. That's always nice. And I come out of the pits, and I'm P13. So I am going to need a little bit of help here. Maybe I can catch some of these guys, but it's going to be tough. And that was a disaster right there. Just, it's so hard to get out of the way of guys on this track and trying to be smart about where it's happening. So, you just gotta do it where you can and hope that you don't cause any issues. But you may have seen, I showed it for a brief second there, Quoth Raven hit the pits. I don't know if that was a damage thing, tire thing, or what, but he was in the pits, and you see me get lapped by my teammate Hal, who I think also got some DRS from me, I hope. I think he kind of hung back a little bit just to get it, and I tried to be in a position where he could get it from me, and I think he did. And I don't know if that's going to help him, but we can only hope. So I'm P12 at this point. And I did just want to show you the rest of this lap, because as you notice, I've been lapped, and I'm only going to finish 34 laps here, not 35. And just thought it would be nice to sort of show my last lap here, because by this point in the race, after a week of practice, after a lot of time trial work, after a lot of Grand Prix work, after a lot of online lobby work, I was feeling pretty good. I'm on soft tires that are still working pretty well. So this was just a moment where I'm probably not maybe at my fastest for the race, but probably just overall peak in terms of how I'm pacing. So feeling good at this point. It looks like I'm going to come home with the P12. I'm over 24 seconds behind Bode, so it's obviously going to be impossible for me to make up at this point, given he's already finished the race, and I doubt anybody in front of us is going to have 24 seconds worth of penalties to push them back in front of me. Say here actually ran out of gas, so I guess I unlapped myself with one car at least, so that's something. But I bring it home P12. Overall, I think this is a really great result. Started P17, finished P12. This is a lot better than I had last week, so it's just more to build on. I'm going to keep practicing. We'll see you for Miami.